It was a rainy afternoon in Seattle, and the streets outside were a blur of umbrellas drifting by in the steady downpour. The soft sound of rain tapping on the window pane created a quiet, almost sacred feeling inside the cozy cafe. The warm glow of Edison bulbs cast a golden hue over the polished wood floors and worn leather booths. It was the kind of place that felt like it had been here for ages, untouched by time. At a small corner table sat Ethan Cole. At 33, he had everything most people could only dream of. He was tall, sharp-featured, impeccably dressed in a designer suit. But behind his perfectly tailored exterior, there was something else, an emptiness, a weariness that came from years of climbing the corporate ladder, always striving but never truly feeling fulfilled. He glanced at his watch for the third time, his eyes flicking toward the door. The blind date was a mere formality, another hour wasted on what he had long given up, hoping would be anything real. He wasn't expecting much. If she didn't show in 5 minutes, he'd leave. And then the door opened. A gust of wind blew in with the rain, and a woman stepped inside. Lila Hart was drenched. Her blonde curls clung to her face, her second-hand coat soaked through at the shoulders, and her shoes squelched with each step. Her canvas backpack hung crookedly on one shoulder. She was a far cry from the polished women Ethan usually dated. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She just was. Without saying a word, she walked over to the hostess, who looked at her with a mixture of concern and confusion. "I have a reservation under Ethan Cole," she said, her voice steady yet soft. The hostess nodded, still surprised by her appearance, and gestured her toward Ethan's table. Lila made her way over, her shoes squeaking faintly as she walked. She didn't adjust her coat or apologize for her soaked appearance. She just sat down, her eyes meeting Ethan's with a quiet kind of confidence. Ethan blinked, thrown off guard. This was her. This couldn't be right. She didn't apologize for the rain or the mess she was. She didn't try to explain why she looked like she'd just walked through a storm. Instead, she reached into her bag, pulled out a small bundle wrapped in newspaper, and placed it gently on the table between them. "I made this," she said softly. "It's silly, but I thought maybe someone like you might need something real." Ethan stared at the package. The simplicity of it caught him off guard, and for a moment he had no words. Lila smiled slightly, her eyes warm and patient, as if waiting for him to understand. The cafe was still, save for the occasional clink of a spoon against a cup. Outside, the rain continued to fall, soft and rhythmic. Ethan couldn't take his eyes off the small package in front of him. He hesitated, then untied the knot on the bundle. As the paper unfolded, it revealed a small hand-carved wooden keychain. Its edges were rough but smooth to the touch, and across its surface, etched in delicate script, were the words, "Home isn't where you stay, it's who you stay for." Ethan felt something shift in his chest. It was such a small thing, so simple and imperfect, but it made his heart tighten in a way he hadn't felt in years. His gaze shifted from the keychain to Lila. She sat there, unpretentious, her wet hair framing her face, her expression calm but knowing. "Why did you bring this?" he asked quietly, the words tasting foreign in his mouth. Lila leaned back slightly, a small, serene smile tugging at her lips. "I make things," she said. "When I was little, I didn't have much, but I learned to make do with what I had. I made this when I had nothing, and I thought maybe someone like you might need something real." Ethan stared at her. No pretenses, no apologies, just honesty. It unnerved him. She didn't seem to be trying to impress him. She wasn't pretending to be someone she wasn't. She just was. And something about that, something so raw and pure, unsettled him in the best way possible. In the days that followed, Ethan found himself thinking about Lila more than he expected. Her simple, unassuming nature had shaken him, but he couldn't stop himself from digging deeper. He found her Etsy shop, Lila's Carvings, a small, modest website with photos taken on her kitchen table. No professional branding, just raw honesty. On the homepage, he saw the words, 10% of every order goes toward helping those in need, because everyone deserves to be seen. Something inside Ethan stirred. He'd spent his whole life in a world of polished perfection, but Lila, she wasn't about perfection. She was about realness. And the more he thought about it, the more it made sense. She was living a life of meaning, while he had spent years chasing empty accolades. But everything changed when their photograph was leaked to the press. The headlines that followed painted him as the CEO gone rogue. The world questioned his judgment, his priorities, his place in the corporate world. Within days, Ethan was suspended. The company he had spent years building, the life he had worked so hard to create, seemed to unravel in an instant. And yet, for the first time, he didn't feel angry. He didn't feel bitter. He felt lost. Ethan didn't go back to his penthouse. Instead, he found himself in a small, humble apartment, away from the noise of the city. For the first time in a long time, he had nothing to do but think. And that's when he realized something. The life he had built wasn't the life he wanted. He went to the Carved Path, the community center where Lila had worked. He began volunteering, offering financial literacy classes to those who needed them. And he watched as Lila continued to teach wood carving, creating small, heartfelt gifts for people in need. Lila's way of living, her unyielding honesty and deep empathy, began to rub off on Ethan. He started to see the world differently, not through the lens of power and prestige, but through the lens of human connection. As the months passed, the Carved Path became a place of hope for those who felt lost. And Ethan, for the first time in his life, felt like he was doing something meaningful. It was a Saturday afternoon, and the Carved Path was full of life. Ethan and Lila had turned their small community center into a thriving space where people of all walks of life could come together, create, and share stories. In one corner of the room, Mia, the young girl they had adopted, was playing with a book she'd found on one of the shelves. Her laughter filled the room, pure and unburdened. Ethan watched her, a smile tugging at his lips. Lila caught his eye, and for a moment they shared a look, one of quiet understanding. Their lives had changed in ways they never expected, but in this moment, everything felt exactly as it should be. Then, Mia ran up to Lila with a question. "Mom, is this what made Daddy love you?" Lila smiled and took the small keychain from Mia's hand. "No, sweetie," she said softly. "It just helped him remember that love is the only thing worth having." Ethan stood up, his heart full. He knew what mattered now. Not the titles, not the company, not the fame. It was this, the simple moments of love and connection that made life truly meaningful. As he watched Mia and Lila, he finally understood the message Lila had shared with him so many months ago. Home isn't where you stay. It's who you stay for. And for Ethan, this was home. The camera pulled back slowly, showing Ethan, Lila, and Mia in the soft light of their new life together. The rain outside had stopped, leaving only the gentle hum of a world that had been changed by love. Home isn't where you stay. It's who you stay for. Stay kind, stay human, stay with us.